The stars shimmered faintly in the endless black void, their light distant and indifferent. Beneath them, a fleet of ships hung like frozen shadows, a testimony to humanity's audacity to venture into the unknown. The year was 2347, and humanity had unlocked the secrets of interdimensional travel, a discovery that promised boundless possibilities, but also unleashed unforeseen terrors. The fleet's flagship, Erebus, orbited a planet unlike any other, Azareth 7, a dark, swirling sphere that seemed to defy natural laws. It was the only known gateway to the shadow worlds, parallel dimensions layered beneath reality. The shadow worlds were a treasure trove of exotic resources, but their exploration came at a price. Captain Linnea Voss stood on the bridge of the Erebus, her gaze fixed on the swirling abyss below. "How many did we lose last time?" she asked, her voice as steady as the steel around her. 37, replied First Officer Malik Baron. His voice carried the weight of regret. "The retrieval team barely made it back. Whatever is out there, it's not just physics. It's alive." Linnea exhaled sharply. Humanity had always been a predator, conquering one frontier after another. But here, in the shadow of worlds, they were prey. The first expedition had been disastrous. When scientists had discovered the shimmering rift that led to Azareth 7, it had been hailed as a miracle. The energy signatures from the planet hinted at a new form of power that could fuel humanity's colonies for millennia. But when the first crew crossed into the shadow worlds, they returned with tales of twisted landscapes and predatory beings that fed on fear and memory. And then there were the disappearances. Ships and their crews simply vanished, leaving behind only faint echoes of static on the comms. Still, greed and desperation drove the United Interstellar Coalition to continue. Resources were dwindling, and the shadow worlds seemed to hold the key to survival if humanity could master them. Linnea's team was among the most experienced. She had led 5 missions to Azareth 7 and returned each time, though not without scars, physical and mental. This time, the stakes were higher. A rift in the shadow worlds had begun to expand, and the Coalition feared it might engulf their reality. The mission wasn't just to explore, it was to seal the rift. "Captain, we're ready," Malik said, breaking her thoughts. The team assembled in the launch bay, clad in adaptive exosuits designed to withstand the erratic physics of the shadow worlds. The suits were lined with neuroblockers to shield their minds from the entities that lurked in the darkness. "Listen up," Linnea addressed her crew. "We don't know what's waiting for us, but we do know this. Stick together. No wandering off, no deviations from the plan. If we fail, this rift could consume everything we know." The team nodded, their expressions a mixture of determination and fear. Crossing into the shadow worlds was like stepping into a dream twisted into a nightmare. The air was thick and electric, the landscape an ever-shifting mosaic of colors and shapes that defied logic. Towers of obsidian jutted from the ground, their surfaces rippling as if alive. "Stay close," Linnea ordered, her voice steady despite the growing unease. As they ventured deeper, the shadows began to move. Shapes emerged, creatures that seemed to be made of liquid darkness, their eyes glowing like dying embers. They didn't attack outright but circled the team, their presence an oppressive weight on everyone's minds. "Don't engage," Malik reminded them. "They feed on fear." But it wasn't just the creatures. The shadow worlds themselves seemed to test them, whispering secrets and lies, dredging up memories long buried. Linnea saw flashes of her past, her mother's death, the betrayal of a friend, the faces of those she had lost on past missions. "We're close to the rift," said Dr. Alara Kane, the mission's lead scientist. She held a device designed to stabilize the dimensional tear, its core glowing with a pulsating blue light. The rift loomed ahead, a swirling vortex of light and shadow that seemed to pull the very fabric of the world into itself. The closer they got, the more the creatures closed in, their forms growing sharper, more distinct. "We don't have much time," Alara said, her hands trembling as she activated the stabilizer. Suddenly, the shadows attacked. The team fought back with pulse rifles and energy shields, but the creatures were relentless. One by one, they fell, consumed by the darkness. "Focus on the mission," Linnea shouted, covering Alara as she worked. The stabilizer began to hum, its light intensifying. The rift fought back, its energy lashing out like tendrils of fire. Linnea felt the pull, a seductive whisper in her mind urging her to let go, to join the shadows. "Captain?" Malik's voice snapped her back. He was bleeding, his suit torn, but his eyes were fierce. "We're not leaving without you." With a final surge, the stabilizer activated, sending a shockwave through the shadow worlds. The creatures screamed, their forms dissolving into nothingness. The rift began to close, its edges sealing like a wound. But the cost was high. Of the 12 who had entered, only 3 returned. Linnea, Malik, and Alara emerged back on the Erebus, their faces etched with grief and exhaustion. As the rift closed behind them, Linnea looked out at Azareth, 7-1 last time. Humanity had won this battle, but the shadow worlds would always be there, lurking in the corners of reality, waiting for the day someone would be foolish enough to return. In the shadow of worlds, humanity had found power, but also a reminder of its fragility. And Linnea knew, deep in her heart, that the shadows were watching.